Okay, so welcome to today's edition of the Healing Rooms Wellness Summit, where we will be covering everything and anything to do with high blood pressure, or AKA hypertension. We'll be sharing with you everything you need to know about high blood pressure, hypertension, how to contract it, how you can reverse it, and the tools that you need to bring it under back into order, back into balance. We're going to cover the different types of blood pressure, because I'm not sure if people are aware that you're getting a lot of younger people who are being diagnosed with high blood pressure now. So that's a different type of high blood pressure. We're going to cover that today. Because even myself, I've seen quite a few people who are not of the age that you'd expect to have high blood pressure, who are now developing high blood pressure and the associated stresses and problems that are related to that. So we're going to be covering the different types of high blood pressure. And we've seen a lot of people who are suffering with these type of degenerative conditions that are resigned to a lifestyle or a lifelong commitment to taking medication. And it's a very dangerous position to be in, especially during this current climate, where people that are long-term medication, they're leaving themselves increasingly vulnerable. Laura, are you catching the people that are trying to come in? I want to try and get them in quickly. Yeah, let's try and get them in quickly. Once people start to embark on that road of taking high blood pressure medication, it's a very slippery road. You don't tend to come off it, taking different medications to manage your blood pressure. If you're not able to get yourself in a position where you know those drugs, you could become almost addicted and totally dependent on them, which puts you in a very vulnerable position, especially in this current climate. If you notice, a lot of things, I don't know if I can say they're being engineered, but a lot of situations are being created whereby people are having to depend on the establishment more and more. The whole furlough system, where people are having to depend on different agencies to provide them with income to sustain themselves. I don't know how long that's going to be sustainable for, but it's not a very good place to be. But in addition, if you're dependent on them for all your finances, that's also it's going to be a very, very compromising position for you if you're the breadwinner for the house and the whole household is dependent on you. But likewise, equally, if you're dependent on them for the maintenance of your health, i.e. if you're on long-term medication, you become very vulnerable, because once you become totally dependent on another to provide all your needs or your means of survival, when they decide that in order for you to access these means, you have to conform or comply with whatever demands they may place upon you, it's then gonna force you to do something or take decisions you wouldn't ordinarily take, given the opportunity to have a choice. So some of the things we're going to cover today are not just about increasing your awareness, but it's also for your long-term empowerment to try and give you more independence, especially in relation to your health. So you're not totally dependent, because some people, they tend to get in a position where, oh, I'm taking medication, that's all right, my tablets will take care of it. Once you get in that position, you've now to this condition and you've now accepted that this is how you're going to be for the rest of your life. Now we've seen that the world has taken a drastic change or a drastic turn, and it's not necessarily for the. So people that are in that position where they're totally dependent on their meds, you've got to be very, very careful. So if there's ways that you can, get yourself into a position where you're not totally having to depend on those medications, then try your best to take advantage of those windows of opportunity, so that you can then, be the master of your own destiny, so to speak. Okay, so we're going to be covering hypertension and blood pressure today. Hopefully we'll be able to empower you with the information, knowledge, and tools that you would require to get you in a position of independence. I know lots of people have been on medication, or they're working with people that are on long-term medication. As I said, it's not a good place to be. It's not the only way out. There are other options, there are alternatives, but if you're not aware of them, you can't exploit them and take advantage of them. So we're going to be sharing with you some of the things that you can do. But first, we need to increase your understanding of pressure. How does it come about, and how can you reverse it? So I'm going to get my slides up so we can start to give you some lovely visuals, because I know when you talk about something that's quite complex, you want to try and keep it as simple as possible So I'm going to try my best to really keep this complex situation quite simple. Okay, can everybody see my screen? Can anybody see my screen? Somebody unmute yourself and say, yes, I can see it. No, we can't.
Yes, I can see it.
Yep.
Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to try and make it nice and big. Move that out of the way. Okay. Lovely, 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 lovely. Oh, it's gone. Okay, let me get it up again. Sometimes it does this and I have to just do it in the small, on the small screen because it won't go to the large one. Oh, let me ask you again, can you see my screen?
Yes.
You can? Thank you so much.
Yep.
If you could.
Excuse me.
Yes, we
sorry,
can.
Excuse me, Aaron.
Thank you so
Will
much.
this be recorded?
Is it recorded? Let me have a look. I believe it is.
Okay, lovely.
I believe.
Thank you.
Okay. So make sure you're on your best behavior. Okay. Right, if you can see my screen, what is on the screen now? What can you see on the screen now?
Caring, honest,
Freedom through
empowering.
well-being.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, great stuff. Okay, so this is our vision. Just so you know, I'm a nutritional therapist, for those who don't know. My name is Aaron Warden, aka the Juice Doctor. I'm a nutritional therapist, natural health researcher, innovator, manufacturer of natural health products, food-based, plant-based supplements, philanthropist, and CEO and founder of Vivo Nutrients, My Healthcare, and Go Juice Detox. Our vision is promoting freedom through well-being, which we do through our lifestyle change programs. Our value, honest, caring, and empowering, which we aim to do in every strain or every do in the delivery of our day-to-day business. Our main business activity is combining cutting-edge technology along with cleansing, detox, and lifestyle change. The cutting-edge technology we use is a non-invasive bioenergy scan that has a conversation with your body through your hand. Your body speaks via the software, produces a very detailed report that highlights the level of stress on all your organs. It shows what's happening with your heart, your lungs, your liver, your kidney, your brain, your breast, your bowels, your blood, your hormones. Basically, every organ in your body is reported on, and your body makes recommendations of what it needs to bring it back into balance. And once you've got that information, we then put you on a program, change program, which might consist of detox, cleansing, dietary changes, or lifestyle changes to basically get your body back and basically give you an internal reset. And as a result of that reset, a lot of the conditions that people are facing or coming to us with, they tend to spontaneously heal or effectively take care of themselves. So we're going to talk a bit about some of the things that we've seen over the years through delivering the scans, some of the information we've gleaned from the body, some of the stuff we've gleaned from doing our research. And we're going to share that with you, and you'll also hear from some people at the end who've taken advantage of our service, used our products, used our programs, use information to obviously empower themselves with the knowledge and the tools, and they've been able to really transform their lives from the inside and been able to attain a level of freedom through well-being. So you'll hear from some of those today as we progress. I'm going to try and whisk through this so we can get done within an hour, so we can spend the last half an hour just dealing with the testimonials and information and questions and answers. So today, we're dealing with all you need to know about high blood pressure, aka hypertension, what it is. Let's start with what it is. Let's jump right in. Okay, high blood pressure is a measurement of the force of blood against the arterial walls when the heart pumps. So this is going to try and keep it really simple. I'm going to try and use really simple terms because it is quite a complex area. Although a lot of people suffer from it, it's quite a complex area that has a lot of variables that all contribute to the end result, the end situation. So we want to try and simplify those variables as much as we can so that you can access what we're trying to say here and gain the understanding without being overwhelmed with too many technical terms or jargon. So the blood pressure is a measurement of the force of blood against the arterial walls when the heart pumps. The pressure is measured in millimeters of mercury, mmHg, and it's expressed as two numbers. The optimal BP for an adult is 120/80 or 120/80. That's what you should see when you go to your doctors or wherever you go to get your blood tested, blood pressure. The top number, called the systolic pressure, measures the highest pressure exerted when the heart contracts. The bottom number is called the diastolic pressure, which shows the minimum pressure against the arteries when the heart is rest in beats. Okay, that's to keep it really simple, just so you can understand what the two numbers mean. 120/80 is where we should be, but as you start to go through the higher numbers, you'll start to see where you are on that spectrum of being in normal blood pressure or high blood pressure. Now, what does it do? Hypertension is a leading cause of strokes, cardiovascular disorders, kidney problems, urological and neurological conditions, and preeclampsia. So a lot of people, when they're pregnant, hypertension is what will cause preeclampsia. So the doctors start getting worried about the baby being able to receive enough nutrients to the brain to keep the baby alive during that traumatic period of delivery. Now, a pressure reading of 120/80 or lower is considered healthy. If the systolic number ranges from 120 to 139, or the diastolic number ranges above 80 to 89, a person is considered to have pre-hypertension. That means you're in the early stages of developing high blood pressure. Systolic readings, they range from 140 to 159. Your diastolic readings range from 90 to 99, and they're classified as stage 1 hypertension. So you've got the pre-hypertension, where you're between 120 to 139 and 80 to 89. That's in the early stages. So if you check your blood and you see 120 or you're over 80, then you could be considered in a state of pre-hypertension. If you're 140 and above, 9 in the diastolic reading, and 90 and above to 99, you're classified as stage 1 hypertension. If, for example, your systolic measurement of 1 is 160 or above, and your diastolic measurement is 100 or above, you're in problems. That indicates that the severe condition of stage 2 hypertension has now made its way into your body. Now let's give you like a nice, to kind of have a better picture of what that is, or what that looks like. These are the stages of hypertension. Now, a lot of people, they fluctuate between these stages, but let's just look at the green one. It shows where things should be, where things are normal. 120, systolic, and less than 80, that's normal in your diastolic. So you've got your systolic one is the first number, and your when you're in a state of elevated blood pressure, maybe a little bit of stress, maybe a bereavement, you've lost somebody, your children are giving a lot of problems, you may go into a slightly elevated state of 120 to 129, and less than 80. Okay. Now, if you start going into higher than 120, as in 130 and above, 139, oh, what have I done there? Okay. When you start getting to higher than 130, you're now going into the stages of hypertension stage 1, i.e. your systolic is 130 over 130, and your diastolic is 80 to 89. If you start going into the orange, the darker orange, where you're 140 or higher, or 90, diastolic, then you're definitely in hypertension stage 2. If you don't get that stress, that crisis under control, and you start moving into the high echelons of higher than 180, where you'll be getting constant headaches, and these are some of the symptoms you may experience. 180 up for your systolic, and 120 and above for your diastolic. The symptoms you may be experiencing will be things like constant headaches, dizzy. I don't know if somebody's outside. Maybe you want to mute everybody, Glory. Just mute all to make sure everyone's muted out completely. Once you start getting to those stages where you're in that crisis state, this is when they'll start talking about seeking hospital or medical attention, or contacting your GP or contacting the doctor, because if you're having constant headaches, you're feeling dizzy, you're feeling lightheaded over an extended period of time, you may be in a crisis state where you could be putting yourself quite considerably at risk, because your blood pressure has remained high for a long period of time or an extended period of time, which could lead to further problems that you would need to address in order to bring them down. And this is when people start looking at going onto medication, and that's when you start to enter onto that slippery road. So let's look at some of the categories of blood pressure. Let's move on to the next one. So I can move through these slides quickly. Okay. So you've got some categories here. I like to use colors, and this is really good so you can kind of get a basic understanding of how younger people are starting to develop high blood pressure at a very tender age. Just looking at the categories, you've got normal, 90 to 129, as we said, pre-hypertension, and the age that they'd have it. Let's just start from where, let's go down to about 35 to 39. Because most of you on this call, they're only 35 to 39. I know, now I'm joking. But let's start with 35, 39, because maybe some of your children are around that age. And let's just see what level of risk they pose in terms of them developing hypertension, blood pressure. 35 to 39, they should be having the minimum of 111/78, which is the minimal range. And then normal range for them will be 123/82. If you're 40 to 44, your normal should be 112/79 or 125/83. Your maximum should be 137 to 187. But let's say you're, as most people on this line are probably today, they're 50 to 54 or 55 to 59, 60 to 64. Let's take the mean at 55. Your minimum should be 118 to 120/80, 82. Your maximum should be 144 to 90. If you have 144 to 90 as your reading, you'll still be considered as being in range. If you start having anything higher than that, then you'll start going into the pre-hypertensive range, or even having high blood pressure as something that's staying in a state for a considerable period of time. Let's just quickly look at the types of high blood pressure and the type of people that will be experiencing them. The two types of hypertension. You have the primary, which is high blood pressure that is not related to any other medical condition. And the secondary, which means there's another medical condition that causes the high blood pressure, usually something that's to do with the kidneys or your arteries being blocked, atherosclerosis, heart or endocrine system, i.e. some problem with your hormones. Examples include sleep problems like sleep apnea. If your arteries are blocked, i.e. your renal arteries or kidney arteries are blocked, or unusual levels of hormones that control your blood pressure. Things like your cortisol, your adrenal glands. These are what secrete the hormones that send the signals to the body to regulate your blood pressure, to take it high if you're under a level of stress, or low if you're in a level of balance and order. So just looking at that for a minute, let's just look at the adrenals and some of the function of these hormones and how they affect the secondary type of blood pressure. When you look at the adrenal, that's a gland that's part of your endocrine system. If you were tired and you're walking down a dark alley on the way home, and somebody accosted you, looking a little bit suspect, like they maybe, want to do some harm, or they want to rob you, or they want to attack you. Even if you're tired, your adrenal glands will send signals to the brain, and that will elevate the cortisol. This will then put your body in a heightened state of awareness. You'd have a lot more blood flowing around your body, which will then give your body that extra bit of strength, which will either give you the option to either fight, to confront your attacker, or to run. They call that the fight or flight. Now remember, this is someone who's in a state of tiredness, lethargy, they've had a long day at work, they're on the way home, looking forward to having a big hot cup of tea and putting their feet up, relaxing, or going to bed, having a hot shower and going to bed. And they're all of a sudden accosted with this situation that they didn't prepare for, they weren't expected to see. And the body's response to that is to work through the adrenals, where they say adrenaline starts to pump through your body. That's through the adrenal glands. As that adrenaline starts to pump, it elevates the blood pressure, and the signal and the system that it uses is the cortisol. It elevates the sugar levels, it elevates the blood levels. Your blood pressure starts to go high. Now you need that additional blood, that raised or elevated blood pressure, because you need to be thinking quickly on your feet. You need to be able to make snap decisions. You need to be able to take action in a very short period of time. This is when you have your blood sugar or your blood pressure elevated to facilitate that process or that decision make, or those decision making processes. Now, you decide you're gonna fight, you can maybe get hurt or you get injured or get stabbed. The reason why you don't feel the pain if you do get stabbed or you do get cut or you do get injured, it's because your body is in a heightened state of awareness, or your blood pressure levels are heightened. So you're not going to feel the pain because your adrenaline is rushing through the body, which is your body's natural defense mechanism. If you decide you're not going to fight, but you're going to fight, you're going to run, you could also do that. Your body will also provide you additional energy and stamina to run probably faster than you've ever run before. You think, how did I run that fast? Or how did I jump over that wall? How did I do that? This is when you almost become superhuman, because you're in that state of elevated blood pressure because of your adrenal function and your glands that have all worked together to preserve and protect your body. Now, once you get in that state, that becomes considered a state of hypertension. You become hyper. Once that situation has now been eliminated, you're no longer in a state of danger. All those systems that are responsible for elevating your blood pressure, bringing you, into that state of adrenaline, should now return to normal. Now, when people start to move into that state of high blood pressure or hypertension, is when even after the state or the threat that you are faced with has now been eliminated, your cortisol levels, your adrenal glands, adrenaline is still remaining at that heightened state. This is when your blood pressure starts to remain at that high level of pumping around the body for whatever reason, whether it's because you're still in a state of fear, or you're still in a state of paranoia or overconscious, or you're worrying about something, or you're worrying about your children, or you're basically in a state of stress. These are some of the things that will contribute to your adrenals keeping your blood pressure in an elevated state. And as you stay in an elevated state, this is when you start to go into what you call primary high blood pressure. We want to try and get you to understand that this is some of the things that cause it, and to try and make sure that you can do some of the things that can offset that, to make sure you don't remain in that state longer than you have to. So things like stress will contribute to that. Things like, overly worrying about a situation. Things like watching too much TV. Things like taking in too much news, like the whole COVID situation. These things will keep you in that heightened state of awareness and worrying. What am I going to do tomorrow? What am I going to do with my job, my future? These things can give you high blood pressure. It's not a good place to be, but it's something for you to be aware of, that you can control your body's susceptibility to becoming in that heightened state of awareness and actually leading you to a state of being diagnosed with high blood pressure. So primary hypertension is also known as essential hypertension, which most adults with hypertension fit into this category. It means you're staying in that state of heightened awareness even when the threat that you are trying to address or deal with has left you. So now let's look at secondary hypertension. Secondary hypertension is when there's an identifiable and potentially reversible cause of your condition. And let's say only a small amount of people will fit into this secondary category. Let's look at those categories of those people. 5 to 10% of hypertension is secondary type. It's more prevalent in younger people. This is when you start seeing younger people developing hypertension. You've seen people at age 25, age 30. These are your children developing hypertension. 30% of those ages 18 to 40 have secondary hypertension. The underlying cause of secondary hypertension include the narrowing of the arteries that supply blood to your kidneys, disease of your adrenal glands, side effects of some medications, including birth control pills, diet aids, stimulants, antidepressants, and some other over-the-counter medications, obstructive sleep apnea, hormone abnormalities, thyroid abnormalities, or constriction of the aorta. These are some of the things that will affect your secondary hypertension. Now let's quickly pause on that just for a second. This means young people aged between 18 and 40 being diagnosed with hypertension, albeit secondary hypertension, but if you don't know the difference, you just think, oh, they've got the same thing that my mum or my granddad has, high blood pressure. It's the same thing, but it's classified as secondary hypertension. This is where you may see a footballer on a pitch who's relatively fit, running around on the pitch, in the middle of a football match, he has a heart attack and cardiac arrest on the pitch. He dies on the pitch. I think you had a few footballers that have died like that. This is as a result of having secondary hypertension. Now, some of the things that we said, the underlying causes, we said the narrowing of the arteries. How do your arteries become so narrow? Your arteries are becoming narrowed because of the diet that you observe. If you follow a very high fat diet, fast food, fried food, processed food, these are going to contribute to the narrowing of your arteries. When your arteries become narrow, that's as a result of the food that you've been eating has now started to congregate in your arteries, which has now started to clog up those arteries, therefore putting more pressure on the heart to pump the blood around the body through a much narrower space, which is now going to put or cause the blood pressure to become elevated, because now the body's struggling to push blood through these narrow channels or these narrow pathways that are blocked up as a result of secondary metabolites or secondary metabolism processes as a result of your food. Now, when I say food, I'm talking about things like fried food. Let me just break that down to even make it more simple. If you have a plate of steak or beef or meat or any kind of fried food or chips or whatever you have, egg and chips, for example, and you finish the meal and you look at the plate is empty, nice white porcelain plate. And on that plate, there's that film of grease. Now, when you look at that film of grease on the plate, normally you'd have to get the wash nut liquid and you just put it on there, and the lemon in the wash nut liquid starts to break it down and dissolves that grease so you can wash it off and you rinse it off and the plate becomes clean. But let's just go back to the plate before it was washed. That plate has now developed that thick film of grease that's now hardened. When you leave that plate on the table or you leave it in the sink with no water on it, that grease starts to harden. As that grease starts to harden, that becomes much more difficult, or it's going to require a lot more water or a lot more elbow grease to wash it off. So if you imagine that same process happening inside your arteries, after you've ingested that food, once your body's digested what it can, that grease is now going to start to cool down. As it starts to cool down, the process of hardening is going to start happening within your arteries, and that's now going to start causing what they call atherosclerosis, where it's called that the hardening of the arteries, where the arteries start to harden as a result of the food or the process of having that food, in particular fried food or foods that are high in fat. When that fat is not to be broken down, it starts to congregate in your arteries, which starts to make your arrows narrower and narrower. So a lot of young people who observe these diets of chicken and chips, Nando's, all this fried food and processed food, they render themselves susceptible to having secondary hypertension. Then you've got adrenal disease, where if you have adrenal gland disease, where your adrenal glands are always constantly in a state of stress because they're struggling to process your food. If you have a very bad diet, or if you're not sleeping enough, or you're sleeping late because you're on your PlayStation, or you're up late worrying, or you're just on your phone, or your mobile phone, or your tablet, watching movies, following social media. These are all the contributing factors that will contribute to your adrenal gland disease, or sleep apnea, thyroid abnormalities, having a lot of processed food or a lot of bread that has a lot of endocrine disruptors in there that disrupts your endocrine system, of which the thyroid is one of the glands. So these are all the things that contribute to people having secondary hypertension. So let's look at some of the factors that cause or contribute to primary hypertension. Let this come up for me. Let me call that slide up. Okay, it's gone too far. Okay, so risk factors for primary hypertension. People that are greater than 55 years old for men and 65 for women. Things like alcohol. Alcohol is a great contributor to primary hypertension. This is what most people suffer with, the primary hypertension. Cigarette smoking cigarettes. Diabetes mellitus, having high blood sugar elevated for a long time. Elevated serum lipids, so having a lot of fat in your diet. Excess dietary sodium. Oh my goodness, sodium. Salt. If you have too much salt in your diet, that is going to be a major contributing factor to you developing high blood pressure. Just the salt alone. Now let's look at some sources of salt. When you have like a lot of takeaway, the biggest flavoring that they add is salt, but the form they use is a processed salt, and they call that monosodium glutamate, or MSG for short. When you look at sodium, sodium is always involved or implicated in people that have cases of hypertension or primary high blood pressure. They always tell you, reduce your salt intake, because it has a direct impact on your cells and their ability to function as they should, which means the body's going to put the body under a lot more pressure, because it also dehydrates the cells. It dehydrates them, so they're not going to have enough fluid in them to be able to perform their daily functions. That means you have to pump more cells to do the job of what a minimum amount of cells should do that in their healthy state, in order for them to complete their function, it needs to have more of those cells pumped through the body, which then is going to impact on the level of pressure that the heart has to exert in order to achieve that. So when you've got too much salt, that's going to impact your high blood pressure. But things that have a lot of salt in them will be things like your seasonings. Especially in the Black community, we tend to use a lot of seasonings that are very flavorsome, but the flavorsome element is 90% of the time is due to salt content. And oftentimes it's hidden in those seasonings. Then you've got certain seasonings that are specifically based around salt. Things like Maggi, it's a process, it's the worst form of salt you could ever get. Maggi is full of chemicals, salt-based chemicals, sodium-based chemicals that only can cause harm within the body. Aromat, same sort of thing. I don't want to be, labeling any type of food, but these are things that we use on a regular basis. Season oil. I'm sure some of you are saying, oh my God, that's in my cupboard. Season oil is blood pressure waiting to happen. These seasons, the base of the seasoning of the flavor is salt and different types of salt. You can get the same level of flavor using the natural alternatives or those ingredients organically on their own. You can use Himalayan pink salt. You don't need a lot of it, just a small amount of it. You can use the oregano, you can use thyme, you can use chive, you can use so many natural herbs and natural spices that will be able to congregate in the dish to be able to achieve the same levels of flavor, but without having to have all the additional salt that's now going to be left in your blood, that's going to leave your blood cells and blood vessels very, very vulnerable. So seasonings is a big thing that you need to look out for and make sure you keep your sodium content very low. So some of the foods that cause, or the things that cause high blood pressure are obviously your food is a big main one. The medicine that you take, your lifestyle, your age, your genetics, they can also contribute to your blood pressure. Common factors that can lead to high blood pressure also include a diet, as we said, high in salt, high in fat, and or cholesterol. Chronic conditions such as kidney and hormone problems, diabetes, and high cholesterol, they contribute to high blood pressure. A family history, especially if your parents or other relatives have high blood pressure. And we said that the other week that it's not genetically related that you have, because your family always have high blood pressure, you're also going to have high blood pressure. We kind of established that the main common denominator in families that have a history of having the same conditions is not necessarily their genetic makeup, but if you live in a household of people that have or observe a very poor and very nutrient deficient diet, you're also going to have, if you have the same foods, like they eat the same foods, you have the same lifestyle, same nutrient deficient diet, guess what? You're going to have the same problems. You're going to have the same conditions. I've had couples, husband and wife come, they've been together 10, 15, 20 years. We've done their scan and it's been so amazing. It's been quite bizarre that the level of stresses and problems that the husband will have will be near enough identical to the level of stresses and problems that the wife has. Why? Because they eat the same foods, they have the same lifestyle, they have the same diet. Guess what? They end up having the same problems. So it's not always genetic that just because your mom or your dad have high blood pressure or your mom or your dad have diabetes, that you're going to get it. However, if you follow the same lifestyle, you eat the same foods, you have the same habits, then of course, you're going to get the same problems. So family history, if your parents or close relatives are obese or have high blood pressure, that's partly, but a main part of that is due to the fact you're observing the same lifestyle. Lack of physical activity, the older you are, the more likely you are to have high blood pressure. It's actually quite funny when we see some clients and they come and they're over 50 or even over 60, and we just, we don't make those assumptions, but I know the GPs do, and we've been guilty of doing it sometimes as well. We ask them, oh, so are you on any medication? We're expecting them to say, yeah, I'm Lodipine, 5 milligrams, 10 milligrams, Ramipril, whatever the normal blood pressure medications are. And the odd occasion that we get a person or a client coming in, they're over 60, and they say, no, I'm not on any medication. I'm like, wow. Automatically, I want to know, what do you do? Like, what's your regime? What's your lifestyle? How are you living? And they'll always say either they run, they have a lot of herbs, or they take a lot of herbs naturally because as a result of their family doing a lot of herbs. They take a lot of bush, they take a lot of natural products basically. And basically they're very proactive about their health. I said, Antonio came in the other day and he came with his son and I was like, wow. I looked at their scan and I saw there was hardly any chemicals and hardly any toxins that most people have. And I was intrigued. I was like, how come your heavy metals is quite low? Everyone has high levels of heavy metals. Everyone has high levels of chemicals. Why they're spraying a lot of these chemicals in the air, and people are breathing them in, they're taking them in, they ingest them in, and they're accumulating in your body. This is why it's so important to detox. But when I saw this particular gentleman, I hope you don't mind me, mentioning you, Antonio, really surprised me and impressed me that your heavy metals were so low and your chemicals were so low. And it really, I was inspired, I was intrigued. So I had to ask, what are you doing? How come your levels of chemicals and toxins are so low? Just like I always ask one when I see something really unusual. And he said, because since something happened many years ago, he's adopted a habit of having a regular dose or daily dose of chlorella and spirulina. So he said every day he takes chlorella and spirulina. And I was like, wow. Now, knowing what chlorella and spirulina do, as well as the plethora of other benefits that they confer on the body, one of the things that they do very, very well is that they remove heavy metals from your blood. They also remove chemicals from your blood. So the fact that he had adopted a lifestyle of taking chlorella and spirulina as part of their daily juicing regime, and he got his whole family onto doing it, I was greatly impressed. And I was happy to see that he was so proactive about this, incorporating just two simple elements into his daily diet and his daily regime. But the results it was having on his health, he could have never known. He just did it because he knew it was something good, but he had no idea of how many things those herbs and those algae were actually removing from his blood and his family's blood and his children's blood on a daily basis. So when we see people, observing these kind of practices, it's always a good thing, and we always commend them. So when we see older people coming in and we find that they're over 60 and they're not on any medication, there's always going to be a reason. There's always going to be some form of habits that they've adopted over the years that is now yielding results. So we want to help people, all of you, to get to that place or get to that point of understanding that you could actually take the right information and the right knowledge and apply that knowledge with the right tools to effectively, positively change your health profile and put it into one that is no longer dependent on medication, because you've adopted a lifestyle that incorporates the habits that you need to maintain good health without having to depend on medication on a daily basis. So well done, and thank you very much for that, Antonio. And I have to commend you once again, because it's a very, very good thing, and it stuck with me. Because every time I see that, it always raises, it just makes you feel inspired to see that people are doing the right things to take charge of their health, and they're yielding benefits. So being overweight or obese is another thing that contributes to high blood pressure. Race, as in non-Hispanic, Black people are more likely to have high blood pressure, for some of the reasons I just mentioned. The diet that we observe, the food that we eat, the salt, the seasonings, the high levels of sodium, the fried food, these things all contribute to having, making us be more predisposed to contracting high blood pressure. Right, some birth control medicines and other medicines such as stress, tobacco, and drinking too much alcohol, these all contribute to having hypertension. Okay, what else? What's the big one? Stress. I'm not going to spend too long on this because I'm conscious of time. I want to make sure we get through, to make sure we get the testimonials on. I've only got a few people to testify today, so we might have a lot more opportunities for questions. But stress is a massive, 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 massive contributor to hypertension. The link between stress and hypertension is undeniable. The very simple fact that is, if you live in a high stress life, the fact is probably going to affect on higher blood pressure and probably a shorter lifespan. The more stress you have, or the more stress you entertain, is the shorter your life is going to be. It's not something that you can change. It's just a given. It's just a fact. If you have a high stress lifestyle, that stress is going to show up somewhere. And as it shows up in your body, it's going to start to weaken your function of your organs. It's going to leave you more susceptible to disease and more susceptible to conditions such as high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, and the like, which is definitely going to have a direct knock-on or impact on your lifespan, the length of your life. A thing about stress and stress-related blood pressure, that it's not always evident. You can't always see it. And that's the worst thing about stress. It's very, very quiet. It creeps up so subliminally. You have no idea that you're stressed. It's like an alcoholic saying, I'm an alcoholic. Most alcoholics think it's okay to drink, 3 bottles of whiskey or 3 bottles of wine every day, or to drink a bottle of vodka every day. They think it's okay because they can handle it, they can manage it. But you try telling a person who doesn't drink a bottle of vodka every day that it's normal to drink a bottle of vodka every day, they'll say, are you crazy? you become an alcoholic. They can see that because they're outside of it. But someone who's in that place of drinking a bottle of vodka or a bottle of whatever spirit every single day, that is a person who has an addiction to alcohol that they've not been able to come to terms with and have not been able to address. So therefore, they're an alcoholic. In the same way, somebody who has a high stressful lifestyle or highly stressed lifestyle, because they've come acclimatized or accustomed to living life that way. And I've used Janice as another example. Janice was, and still is, we're working on her bringing that down. Although she's changed her profile, Janice is a lady that's given quite a few testimonials on these calls about how her life was on a very downward spiral, having cancer, brain tumor, 3 miscarriages, a stillbirth, having a womb removed, high blood pressure, diabetes, arthritis, all reversed, by the way. She's been on the program, they've all gone and all reversed, but she very candidly articulated to us how she had come to be in that position, how she had acquired all these ailments and conditions and disorders within her body. And the main underlying factor was that she was an addicted workaholic. She was working 8 days a week. Every hour God sent, she was busy working. And this was accumulating her levels of stress. And she became accustomed to living like this as the norm. And she tolerated it. So she thought it was okay. This is what people do. They have these very high stressful lifestyles, managing the business, managing the household, managing their children, managing their grandchildren. These things start to take their toll on your body. It puts your adrenals in that state we mentioned earlier, where it's in a heightened state of awareness, where you're almost waiting for something else to happen. What's going to happen next? Because you're juggling so many balls at the same time, you think it's okay because you can manage. You become used to doing it. But what you don't realize is that your body is in a state of heightened awareness, like that person in the alley who's trying to deal with that situation with that person that's coming to accost them. They've had to get in that state of heightened awareness where they've had to decide, do I run or do I fight? Or fight or flight? But after they've dealt with the situation, their adrenal levels goes down. But people that live the lifestyle that Janice lives, managing many balls, having lots of balls juggled in the air, they're always on 10 to hooks, thinking, oh my God, which ball's gonna drop? Have I dropped that ball? Have I dropped that ball? Have I dropped that ball? You don't realize that although you're living that way, it's become a lifestyle for you, you don't realize that you've put your body in a state of, or heightened state of awareness, which is contributing to stress. You would never admit you're stressed because you think you're managing it. But that is key. Your body's under stress, and your body will tell you when you start having headaches, when you start feeling dizzy, when you start feeling lightheaded. So what do? You go to the hospital, you go to your GP, and your GP says, oh, these headaches, how long you had them? Oh, I've been having it for the last 6 weeks or 6 months. Let's check your blood pressure. Oh, you've got high blood pressure. You've got high blood pressure, you now get diagnosed. They're gonna now say, right, let's put you on a course of medication, amlodipine, whatever they use, Bramipil, 10 milligrams, 5 milligrams. And they've got some new ones coming out now, which is not really designed for certain communities. However, you take that medication and you think, okay, that's gonna help to push my blood pressure down. But guess what happens? You continue living that same lifestyle with 10,000 balls in the air at the same time. But because you've got this medication, you think, okay, I can manage or I can maintain this now because I haven't got to worry about my blood pressure. That's one less ball to worry about. What you don't realize is that you've now put yourself on that slippery road of no return. The only way you can come off that slippery road is by addressing the underlying problem, which is your stress, which is your workload, which is your approach to this workload. So these are some of the things that we're highlighting so that hopefully some of you can identify and look at yourselves today and think, you know what, that's actually me. This is actually how I'm living. I'm actually got a very busy lifestyle. I'm putting myself in a very hypertensive state where I could end up being on high blood pressure medication, or I already am on high blood pressure medication, but I'm maintaining that condition or that state, which is causing me to have to constantly or continuously rely on medication. Well, let me say something to you that are in that last category. If you stay in that state of continually becoming dependent on medication to manage your high blood pressure, and they turn around and say to you, tomorrow, next week, next year, in order for you to continue receiving that medication, you have to take this jab, yeah? You're gonna have no say. You're gonna have no choice, because you're gonna have to either say, do I not get my medication and cause my blood pressure to rise out of control where I'm going to start having headaches, maybe it's a stroke, heart attack, or worse? Or do I have to take this jab that you may not want to take because you may have reservations or concerns about the safety of it, what impact it's going to have on your health, short-term, mid-term, or long-term? But you're going to literally have to give up that. You're not going to have that. You're not going to have to make that choice. Why? Because you're dependent on what they're giving you and you're going to need it. So I'm hoping to, open your eyes a little bit to where you are now and where this could lead to if you don't take charge today or tomorrow or next week or start the process of taking charge, because that's where it's going to end up. It's not even an option. That's where it's going. Okay. So stress is a big contributor to hypertension. All right, let's move on. Let's look at some of the complications of staying in a hypertensive state. How are we for time? We'll make sure we're doing okay for time. Okay, we've got a little bit of time. Okay, I'm gonna whisk through these last few slides. We'll look at some complications, and we'll look at some foods, and we'll look at some solutions real quick, and then we'll take some testimonials and some questions. So complications, things like, Belmont. Complications of hypertension are target organ disease, which affect the following. Of course, your heart, your kidneys, your eyes, and your brain, because the longer the blood remains in that elevated state, you're going to start having headaches. It's going to start putting pressure on your kidneys. It's going to start putting pressure on your eyes. It's also going to start putting pressure on your brain. And you need your brain to be functioning at optimal levels in order for the rest of your immune system to function and do what it needs to do. Other complications, coronary artery disease, left ventricular hypertrophy, heart failure. If your heart is pumping too hard, is working too hard to pump the blood around the body, this is going to cause the muscle or the heart muscles or the valves in the heart to overwork. You start having things like enlarged heart. You start having things like arrhythmia. You start having palpitations. You start having your heart beating. And these will lead to all manner of complications. You have to have a pacemaker, things that can help you to regulate the normal heart. And that just puts you in a whole other set of situations that you don't want to be in. Can we move everybody again, please? I know someone may have left there. Thank you. Those are some of the complications. Heart, not being able to manage your heart because obviously the pressure is staying up for a considerable period of time. Other complications include cerebrovascular disease, so that actually the blood flow to your brain. As these arteries stay in that narrow state for a long period of time, you're now going to impede or restrict the flow of blood to your vital organs, such as your brain. Then you're looking at peripheral vascular disease. That means your brain, the part of your brain that controls your ability to process, to determine where you are, dizziness. This is why when people, they have their medication, while they're on the medication, everything seems normal. One of the telltale signs that they notice when they forgot to take their medication is that they'll start to notice headaches. Why are they getting headaches? Because the brain is starved of oxygen. So these are some of the complications that can accrue if you've not managed your blood pressure or you've left your blood pressure in that state for an extended period of time. Nephrosclerosis, retinal damage, it can also damage your eyes. So there's so many organs that will stay or that could be compromised or become further damaged the longer you leave your body in that state of hypertension. Okay, let's look at how it can be prevented. If your high blood pressure is caused by lifestyle factors, such as you could take steps to reduce that risk. Now, what can we do to reduce the risk of high blood pressure? The first thing we can start off is by addressing that you have stress. You can reduce your stress. Look at how you can reduce your stress. I'll talk about that a little bit later if we have time. One of the things to definitely say is stop watching the news. The news is one of the things that contributes to high blood pressure because it makes you start becoming fearful. You start becoming worried. You start thinking like that person in that alleyway. What could happen to me? What's going to happen to my life tomorrow? We need to get you out of that zone of always feeding fear. That's going to contribute to having higher levels of stress or higher levels of losing weight. How about losing some weight? You know, losing the lockdown love. You're going to put on a lot of weight. There's another lockdown coming. We've got to be really careful that we manage ourselves during this new lockdown. It's going to be for a month, but it's highly likely to extend beyond the month. So, you know, losing the weight is going to be a key factor to bringing your blood pressure down. Stopping smoking. eating properly, exercising, lowering your salt intake, reduce your consumption of salt, learning to relax more. You know, go to the sauna, go to the steam. I know they've locked some of them down, but when they're open, take advantage, go into a steam room. It's a great way to relax. I'm not advocating yoga, but if you're gonna do it for the meditative benefits and just stretching your body and just relaxing and learning to breathe, then do whatever you need to do to get your body in a state of relaxation, to get your body in a state of homeostasis, where it's not in that state of heightened state of awareness where your adrenals are overworking. Let's look at some foods that you need to avoid while you're doing that, while you're bringing your body back into order. Number one, look at that lovely box of fries. I love the way they put this picture in here. This picture, it looks so appealing, right? Because you've got this lovely box of fries. There's only a little bit of fries. But while you have high blood pressure, French fries may be really tasty, but doctors have long warned against consuming them too often because they're hefty doses of saturated fat, sodium, and calories. The high fat content of these fries, as much of them looking very appetizing for someone who's really hungry, I want to get a quick snack, the saturated fat, the sodium content or the salt, and additional calories all have their consequences. So avoid French fries while on blood pressure or on medication, but avoid it even more if you're trying to avoid, you know, becoming hypertensive. Let's look at some raised blood pressure. Okay, foods that raise blood pressure that you definitely, things like delicatessen meat, pickles, canned soups, oh my days, the worst you could ever eat. Tomato products, now not fresh tomatoes, but tomato products. That means when tomatoes have been processed. Chicken skin, what's chicken skin full of? Fat. Coffee or caffeine, again, it's gonna work on your adrenals. It's gonna stimulate, it's gonna lift your brain to a place where you don't want it to be. It's gonna elevate your blood sugar levels, it's gonna elevate your blood, and it's gonna just put you in a state that you're gonna get high, then you're gonna come back down, and it's all artificial. This is gonna put a lot of stress on your blood pressure because your body can do that naturally when it's got the right food and the right diet and the right amount of rest. Alcohol, pastries, Chinese food. Why are we avoiding Chinese food? I've got nothing against Chinese people. However, their food, their biggest seasoning is MSG, monosodium glutamate, which is pure salt. Meat, red meat, steak, all those steaks, especially when they're fried or however you have them, it just clogs up those arteries and puts your body under a huge level of strain and stress. Top 6 foods to avoid. So we've got pickles, we've got noodle soup. Oh my God, noodles. Now I'm not gonna even lie. In my early days, I used to love noodles. There was nothing better than having a quick pack of noodles, use a sachet, and then when I started getting a bit more health conscious, I stopped using the sachets, I started using my own flavorings. But then I discovered that the noodles themselves, they have a lot of flavorings in them. But put the noodles aside for a minute. The salt, the sachets is full of processed MSG, salts, other additives that just cause a plethora amount of problems in your blood. So number 2 is noodle soup. Number 3, alcohol. Number 4, salt. Again, number 5, red meat. And then we've got the big one that everyone's addicted to is sugar. Sugar. Forget sugar, because sugar just contributes to a whole lot of other problems. We talked about some of them last week the week before in diabetes. We talked about them again last week in arthritis, in gout and joint pain. But sugar is a major no-no for people that are trying to avoid having high blood pressure. So once you've eliminated a lot of these foods from your diet, what else can you do? Things to avoid. Tips to avoid getting hypertensive. You can do things like greens type food. Eat more foods that contain greens. Eat foods that are rich in chlorophyll. Foods that are plant-based. Plant-based foods are fantastic. Sprouted foods, vegetables, parsley. Parsley is a great food to eat if you're hypertensive, or to juice it even more. Parsley really helps to relax the blood vessels. It helps to reduce that pressure on the blood vessels and starts to take the pressure off the heart, having to pump so much blood around to again get all your organs fed and well nourished with the right amounts of blood. What else can you do? Decrease your salt intake. Have less salt in your diet. Reduce your alcohol. Switch to a healthier diet. Get more greens. Get more vegetables. More raw vegetables. Sleep is one of the key things that you can do to impact or reduce your chance of blood pressure, or if you are already hypertensive, to reduce your dependence on having to take medication to control your blood pressure. Why? Because when you sleep, your blood or your body starts to repair itself overnight. Quick rundown of what happens when your body sleeps. At 9 o'clock, your body releases a hormone into the body, melatonin, serotonin, and the body uses that, converts it into melatonin, which then starts to shut the body down. It's like the body's natural anesthetic. So by 10 o'clock, you start nodding off because the brain wants to shut down so you can put your body into rest mode. So by 10 o'clock, your brain starts to fill up, your head starts to fill up with blood. That's why your eyes start to go red, because your body is now starting to repair the brain first and foremost. As it starts to repair the brain, 11 o'clock, it starts getting to the sinuses, 12 o'clock down to the mouth, the throat, 1 o'clock down to the heart. It starts to repair the heart, the blood vessels, all the arteries, all the aortas, the muscles of the heart, the ventricles of the heart start to be repaired by about 1 o'clock. 2 o'clock, it starts getting down to your stomach. 3 o'clock, it starts to get round to the kidney. When it gets round to the kidney, a lot of people find this is when you start to wake up in the night. So those who are waking up in the night, you'll find you wake up between 1 and 3 a.m. Why you wake up between 1 and 3 a.m.? Because your kidneys are weak, your bladder is weak. People that are waking up in the night is interrupting the body's natural healing and regenerating and rejuvenation mechanism and cycle that's inbuilt within the body. But more importantly, when you sleep late, you miss that essential repair of the brain, which controls the immune system, and you miss the essential repair of the heart, and you miss the repair of the blood vessels. When you start to miss these essential repair, these vessels, these organs, more susceptible to remaining in a state of disease or disorder, which leaves you open to having to rely on a lot more medication, or even have to increase the medication, because the repair that the body was trying to effect was not able to be carried out effectively by you not getting enough sleep or going to bed on time. One of the things we can do to offset that or to reverse that is, if you go to bed at 1 o'clock or 2 a.m., you're a really late sleeper, try going to bed 15 minutes earlier each night. So if you go to bed at 1, tonight, go to bed at 1:45. Tomorrow night, go to bed at 12:30. The night after that, 12:15, 12 o'clock, 11:45, 11:30, 11 o'clock. Before you know it, you're going to get to bed at 9 o'clock, and you'll get the full repair of your body from 9 till about 6, when your eyes will just fall open naturally because your body is completed the complete sleep cycle. So let's try that. Going to bed earlier. These are some of the things that help to relax. You have more energy. There's so many things that you benefit just from getting enough sleep. So what else can we do? How about detox? If you know you're able to do all the others, or you're not able to do all these things because your lifestyle doesn't permit you to, make these changes, or you're so set in your ways that you can't see yourself, being able to change or make the relevant changes in the relevant areas, then you may need to consider doing some form of detox. Detox and lifestyle change. This is what we love. We love helping people with detox, because with detoxification, you need to have the right tools, you need to have the right knowledge, you need to have the right application. You need to have a good level of understanding as well. Now, why do we recommend detox? Because detox is something that we advocate that people should do on a regular basis. Not, some special trip to a hilltop retreat, but something that you do on a daily basis. Even if it's a small level, you do it on a consistent basis. Why? Because you cannot stop toxins coming into your body. We take toxins in every single day. Toxins in the air we breathe, toxins in the food we eat, toxins in the water we drink, toxins, as I said, from even the people that are around us. We cannot stop people around us speaking the negative words into our lives, into our bodies, into our situation. We cannot stop that. But what we can do is we can reduce the level of accumulation or the level of buildup of these toxins in our body by embarking on a level of regular detoxification. Again, if you're not able to detox, come to somebody like us. We are specialists in doing prescribed or supported comprehensive detox processes or detox programs that enable the body to eliminate a lot of these toxins, a lot of these foods, a lot of the byproducts of these foods that end up giving you atherosclerosis, that end up giving you blocked arteries, that cause your blood pressure to rise, that end up leaving high levels of salt in your body. These are the things that we do or help you to do to enable you to bring your body back into balance and back into order, so that all these things can spontaneously heal by themselves. We don't try to treat blood pressure. We don't try to treat diabetes. We don't try to treat any of these conditions that we speak about. We only ever focus on restoring order within the body that we do through detoxification, dietary change, and lifestyle change. Once we change all these areas using our Hearn protocol, you will be absolutely amazed at what you see or hear people go through and what they're able to achieve. So let's look at some of the things that we do and some of the things that we use to do that, to help you to, be able to do it yourself and empower you with the tools and the knowledge and the know-how so that you can then take charge of your health and bring your blood pressure under control. We've got about another couple of minutes, then we're going to wrap up and we're going to bring in some testimonials and take some questions. Okay, one of the key things that we use is recognizing the wonders of water. Water, as we know, it impacts every single area of your body. It impacts every single function of your body. Every single function of all your organs are all impacted by your water. It impacts arthritis, it impacts back pain, it impacts water retention, it impacts bloating, it impacts skin, it impacts sleep, it impacts blood pressure. Why does it impact blood pressure? 70% of your blood, 70% of your body is made up of water. 86% of your blood is water. So plasma and all the rest of it contribute, but your main part of your blood is water. So if you haven't got enough water, your blood vessels are not going to be able to form properly. They're not going to be able to function properly. They're not going to be able to perform their day-to-day function that you need in order for your body to operate and fulfill the task that you give it or demand from it on a daily basis. So water is key. It's one of the fundamental things that we always look at and incorporate. What we've done here, we've put together a program or a combination of products that we've seen that have been really effective at, really bringing people's blood pressure into basically into normality, normalizing it. And we didn't intend to bring the blood pressure. We just intend to get the body back into order. And how we do that is by using water, using the Hearn protocol. The Hearn protocol being HERN, H for hydration, E for elimination, R for rest, and N for nutrition. These are all the things that we've spoken about today. But the hydration is always a key part. And then we use these products, some of these products, to really, nourish the body, help the body to eliminate any toxins or any buildup of toxins that are accumulated in the tissues, in the blood, in the gut, in the organs, in the liver. Wherever they are, we use different products to have a different impact. I'll give you a quick 1-minute run through on some of these things and what they do and how we're able to use them to really effectively impact the body very positively. So let's start from the bottom left. Elixir of Life is a mineral product that really helps to nourish your joints. It's full of silica, so it really helps to produce the collagen that helps to boost your muscles. Now, all your muscles need nourishing on a daily basis, but guess what? The heart is a muscle. So if your heart has got the right nourishment, it's going to be able to be a lot more stronger to have to pump the blood around the body. Omega C, which is a vitamin C complex, very powerful product, really helps to increase the antioxidant levels, which brings down the free radicals, brings down the reaction oxygen species. All the things that cause degradation of your cells are able to be impacted and positively reversed by having the high levels of vitamin C. Oxyflush, or as somebody called it last week, King Oxyflush. Oxyflush is very effective at removing a lot of the waste that's accumulated in your gut, in your bowels, in your colon. When people are blocked up, bacteria is starting to accumulate in the gut, which starts to form more toxins in the blood, which is now making the blood become more toxic. You've got toxic blood going to a weak heart. It's not going to really give the heart much chance of being able to replenish itself or regenerate itself to be able to perform its ultimate function. So Oxyflush is key in removing a lot of the impurities from your gut, from your bowels, and getting rid of bloating and other associated problems with your digestive system. Ultra DETOX really helps to bring down the inflammation. It's powerful anti-inflammatories, antiseptics, black seed oil, dandelion, burdock, really powerful herbs that really support the blood. Milk thistle helps support the liver to really help to keep the blood clean. Immune support helps to boost your immune system. Liquid oxygen, as we all know, we all need oxygen to cause our blood to flow and to function effectively. Menovate, oh wow, Menovate Balance. I could talk about Menovate Balance all day. It does so many things, but one of the key things that we use it for is helping people to bring down their stress. Menovate Balance really helps to balance your endocrine system by helping you to bring the adrenals into order, the hypothalamus, all the organs that are responsible for your signals or your communication in the body, that your moods. When your adrenals are too high, you start to become hyper. When it's too low, you can't sleep. All these things are helped into order, into range by using Menovate Balance. It's an amazing product. Since we've added it into the program or into especially the blood pressure, people that are having blood pressure, it's really produced remarkable results. It also helps people with hot flushes that disappear. So many things happen just from using the Menovate Balance. Liquid B complex, metabolism, whole system tonic, again, links your endocrine system. SOS Advanced, another powerhouse, really washing the blood, cleaning the blood vessels, getting rid of the impurities, the viruses, the bacteria that accumulate in your blood, the atherosclerosis. The nano delivery of the essential oils in this product are really powerful at removing impurities from the blood. Blood cleanser plus, brain and nerve support really help with the nervous system. So many things that these products do, but none of them are designed to target any one area, but they're all designed to work synergistically in support of each other. As a result of that, obviously you find that people have been able to achieve amazing levels of wellness. Blood pressure being one of them, being reduced or being brought right down or being normalized. Sugar levels in the blood being able to be brought down. Weight loss happening almost as a byproduct. Back pain disappearing, joint pain disappearing, headaches, migraines disappearing, sleep improving. Not because we were trying to target those areas, but because we were trying to bring the body back into order. And every time we use these products, we find that people are able to restore levels of order they weren't able to do by using, I don't know, maybe an individual product or just relying on one product to do, you know, a lot of work by itself. So we always tend to use combinations of products to really help bring the body back into order and, you know, to create that that's conducive to accelerated healing. So today, hopefully I've covered a lot of the things to do with, you know, high blood pressure, how you can manage it, how you can bring it under control, how you can prevent it, how you can reverse it. We had a little bit of you know, insight into some of the tools that we use. So you can look at how you can obviously, you know, empower yourself with some of the tools and you know, I suppose proven methods, i.e. the methodology, the HERM protocol, how you can use the HERM protocol to really restore and bring order back into your body so you can take charge of your health and bring things back to where they should be. And then lastly, I want to try and, you know, really, I suppose, empower people with the information so that you can take this away and apply it to yourself, but also apply it to those around you who are resigned to a lifestyle of taking pills, taking medication, and to show them and share with them that there is another way, there is an alternative, there is things that you can do that can help you to bring your health back into balance, back into order, so that you're not, you know, so you've actually got a choice. That's the key thing we really want to, you know, communicate here, that you now have a choice. It's not just the one way that you've been told, do this for the rest of your life, and that's the only way you can survive. That's not the case. So we want to really help people to be empowered with knowledge that will enable them to have or make better choices. So let's now bring in some people that have gone through this process and, you know, been able to use some of these tools, use some of this information to greater effect. So let me have a look to see who is on the line with us. Carol, are you here with us today? Let's see if Carol Baptiste.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, Carol.
Hiya.
Wow, is that you?
Yeah.
Let me see you again. Where you going? Say something, Carol.
It's me. I'm here.
God. Wow. Anyway, Carol came. You know what, Carol? You just share your own story. How you were when you came, how you are now. And I know you're a person who had hypertension, you had high blood pressure. Just give a quick summary of where you were and where you are now.
Okay. Yeah, when I came to you end of August, I was I'm still overweight, but I was a lot heavier. I was 2 stones heavier than I am now. I was suffering with back pain. Mm-hmm. I was taking amlodipine, 10 milligrams daily, mm-hmm. for the last 10 years. And people are commenting, thank you. Yeah, so back pain, pain in my knees. I had been taking the medication. So yeah, really I came to you because of my weight, because my weight wasn't shifting. So even though I was going to the gym and whatnot, trying to eat healthier. I wasn't eating well, but healthier. I wasn't managing to lose any weight. So since I started the detox, so I've did stage 1 and stage 2, as I said, I've lost nearly 30 pounds. I've not been having any pain. The lower back pain just gone. The knees gone, in the sense of no pain in my knees. My ankles used to be swollen. That's the swelling in my ankles is gone. So they're just looking better. So physically, I feel much better. Mentally, I feel much better because it's working for me. It's attacked the areas that I wanted to attack. When I had the body scan, you'd actually told me that my body wasn't breaking down the fat, so my metabolism was almost at zero, I guess. So yeah, since I've come to you, I've just seen great results.
And your blood pressure, how's your blood pressure now?
Yeah, I had said to you when I came to see you a month in, I'd forgotten to take my tablets on a couple of occasions. Before, when I forgot to take tablets, I'd get a headache. But you know, you're sort of drinking all the you know, the supplements and whatnot. So I just seem to just be taking in so much water, so much liquids. There was no impact on me physically. But when I remembered, I would take it. But in the second stage, I haven't taken it, and I haven't had any headaches. Obviously, my blood pressure, I've checked it a few times. It has gone down. It's not perfect, but it's a lot lower than it was. So I'm not back to your 120/80, for instance, but it's much lower than it was. So I'm keeping an eye on that. But yeah.
And you look amazing, by the way. I don't know if you've seen the comments in the chat. You look completely different. Wow. It's like, I'm thinking, where's Carol? Read the room. Stand up. That doesn't look like you at all. You're glowing. You can see comments in the chat. People are saying how your skin looks amazing. You look really radiant. You really look amazing. I can't wait to see. When's your appointment? Is it this week, your follow-up appointment?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. You do look amazing, Carol. Thank you so much for sharing that. Really important. Get to see that, obviously, as I said, we weren't trying to target your blood pressure because she came because of her weight. Is that right?
Yeah.
She came because of her weight, but obviously a byproduct of going through the detox and going through the lifestyle change, making the relevant changes in the right areas, also impacted so many other areas, including the blood pressure, including the back pain, including the joint pain, and I don't know if you said water retention, but whatever other issues she had, they were almost spontaneously, resolved just organically. So thank you so much for that, Carol. Very, very, very powerful testimony. Let me quickly bring on, because I'm not really a person that likes to even, how can I put it, even overselling. I don't even like selling because I'm not really good at selling, but I like people to receive the information that they need in order for them to recognize that what you need to do is available and it's accessible. The package that we put together is there, it's available. If you want to get it, it's on the site, but that's not what today's about. Today's not about selling a package or selling a product. It's about providing information and empowering people with the knowledge and the tools that they need, and hearing people who've gone through it and can come back and give testimony to show that what they've been able to do has been able to impact their health to such a level that they no longer have this condition and are now in a position to be able to make their own choices. Now, it's Ermin. Ermin, are you on the line? I know I was going to get you on last week. I've got a few people I've got to get on just to quickly get through with some powerful testimonies. Nico, is Ermin on the line? Let me quickly go through.
Yes.
Ermin.
Hello.
You were meant to speak last week about your joints, because we covered last week arthritis, gout, and back pain and joint pain. And let's see, who else I want to get on? Nico's there. Let me see, it's Sevi. Sevi, you know what? Sevi, are you on the line? Would you mind saying a couple of words before I bring in Ermin? Seviano. I know I didn't plan this. I always like to call on somebody unplanned.
Hi, good afternoon.
Thank you, sir. Sevi, thank you so much. Sevi, obviously I spoke about you and your dad earlier. Your habit that you've adopted with regards to the spirulina and the chlorophyll, and that's really brought down your heavy metals and chemicals. But you came as somebody who had gout, and I know you just started the program, I know you had maybe a couple of other problems, but just give us a quick run through of how you were and how you are now. I know you're only about a week in.
Yeah. I think when I came to see you, I wasn't sleeping amazingly, had some mobility issues with my leg as well, a bit of cloudiness in terms of brain fog and sort of not necessarily being in the greatest temperament.
Your mood.
And yeah, you know, I have noticed a difference during the course of this week. So, you know, I've got more feeling and sensation and movement in my leg. And certainly sort of, you know, the routine and eating healthily and doing the right thing. So the combination of the sort of the bits that you've put together, the nutrients and the sort of routine and the more sleep have definitely improved my mood, as well as sort of improved my mobility as well. And I'm already losing a bit of weight, which is kind of a byproduct. It's not something I was actually looking to do.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Sev. And that's great. I know you didn't mention anything about weight, but it's good to know that the weight's come down as well as a like a boosty bonus, because that just takes a lot of pressure off your body and off your heart in particular. And yeah, no, that's really good, because we always like to hear from men, because I know men generally don't take their health that seriously, and they always tend to leave it to the last minute, or whether it's because they're afraid. But you actually took that brave step of coming in, having your scan, looking at the things that needed to be addressed, and now you're taking action and you're seeing results. So that's fantastic. So hopefully other men seeing this will realize that, you know, once they take that brave step forward, they'll be able to see changes and be able to have the positive results and outcome as well. So Ermin, very quickly, you, as I said, we were speaking about last week, arthritis and gout and back pain and joint pain. Just give us a quick 1-minute summary of where you were before you came and where you are now.
I came to you because of arthritis in my knees.
Can you speak up a little bit? Speak up.
I came to you because of the arthritis in my knees. I had to give up my job, retire early, because I couldn't do my job no longer. And we decided to come and see you. And we went on your cleanse. And within a few days of taking your cleanse, I noticed my knee, like it was felt like it was filling out and not so bony as it was before. And time went on, and everything that was wrong with me got better. I could walk properly, because the only time I went out was shopping, or if I had a hospital appointment, and that's the only time I wouldn't go anywhere else, because it was too much pain. And I basically just stayed at home. But I found out then, after doing the cleanse for a week or so, that I could go out, and I was walking faster than my husband, Nico. And he had to sort of stop me and tell me, come on, you're walking really fast now. Yes. I would sort of walk behind slowly. And I've been fine ever since.
I'm so glad to hear that. Now, you mentioned to me some of the issues, some of the pains, although they've been gone for a long time, some of them start to come back. And do you know what you were doing, or what you may have been doing that would have contributed to that?
I think it was water, and I did a oxyflush. Yeah, oxyflush. I did that after speaking to you last week. Mm-hmm. I did that because I hadn't done that for a while, and okay. My knee's a lot better.
Wow! Look at that!
But it's difficult to fit in all the water when you're going out, and I'm working again. I've got a little part-time job since.
Fantastic.
You know, it's only a couple of hours, but it's better.
It's a job.
Yeah.
It's a job.
Yeah.
In a time of losing jobs, and someone who couldn't work before because obviously you're in so much pain, you actually get back into the workforce and contribute to society, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a great thing. It's a great place to be.
Yeah, but I do think water has a lot to do with it.
Yes.
I didn't realise. It wasn't until you were talking about it last week, and I thought, well, maybe I'm not drinking. Maybe I'm not drinking enough water.
Yes.
So I started to drink a bit more water, and I found that after that, my knee sort of didn't bother me so much.
Yes. Yes.
And it's not really bothering me now, but I try to boost up my water.
Fantastic.
Okay. Yeah.
And you've seen a difference. And it's great that you obviously mentioned the great King Oxyflush, because obviously people are seeing that although you're pain in your knees, you took Oxyflush. That's got nothing to do with pain. But
well, no, but I took it because I thought, well, maybe, you know, just maybe there's a connection there as well. So I took it.
And you felt different.
Yes.
Absolutely. And that's the great thing about, you know, having knowledge, because now you finish the program, and not only have you got your health back, you've got more mobility, you've got, you know, your pain has gone down, but you've also, more important, got the knowledge. When you do start to drop off the rails, off the wagon a little bit, you knew exactly what to do, what to take in order to, you know, change your situation.
Yeah.
You run to your GP, let me run to the GP. No, you knew what to do. And that's what's really empowering for us, because that's part of our values and our vision, which is to be caring, honest and empowering. We want to empower people with the tools. So you know what to do. You finished nearly a year ago, but yet you know what products you need to take in order to make sure you can maintain your health or get rid of any pains or discomfort that you may be experiencing without having to go and take any kind of, I don't know, over-the-counter or pill particular. You just did a quick cleanse, quick detox, got rid of the toxins, whatever toxins were doing in your body, they're no longer doing them anymore, and whatever pain you were feeling is no longer there anymore. Maybe there's a connection, maybe there's not, but at least you were able to do something that you were able to do.
Well, I did what I thought I should do.
Yes, which is key, and that's the powerful thing that we really want to, you know, communicate and impress upon people. Now, I've seen someone I haven't seen for a long time, that I haven't seen for ages, and I'm really, you know, grateful and blessed to have Tasha Alt. I know you're a practitioner yourself. I want to just quickly, you to unmute yourself, just to come and just say a few words, because obviously you've been, you know, working in the same field that I do, working with people in different situations, with your remedies and your options that you provide. Tasha, can I quickly call on you? Unmute yourself. Let me see if I can unmute Tasha. Tasha, are you there? You know, that's always get people unawares. Right, while Tasha's finding the button to unmute. Oh, I'm really blessed to see you today, Tasha. That's really nice that you joined. Right, moving before we wrap up. Anybody have any questions that they want to ask regarding today's presentation? I know there's some questions in the chat. Does anybody have any questions? You can ask the questions. You can unmute yourselves and ask your questions. If anybody has any questions, so we can deal with them. No questions are silly questions.
There we go.
It's beneficial to somebody else. Go ahead.
I actually had more questions on anemia. Whether I've got the wrong video chat for that, but I was hoping for some questions on that.
Tasha.
Yes. Hello.
Hey, Tasha. Good to see you. Good to hear you. Long time.
I know. You well?
Yes, very well indeed. Thank you so much for joining. Do you know, Tasha, we actually did originally embark on making this week really about anemia, blood pressure, and all things linked to blood. As we started to compile the slides and the information, we then realized that blood pressure was such a wide area and hypertension was such a wide area with, you know, all the different factors, i.e. the stress-related elements, the food-related elements, the dietary elements, the lifestyle, all of these things. When we realized how much information there was to impart, we realized that it'd be better if we separated anemia into a separate week, and give it, you know, give it the due respect it deserves.
No, absolutely. I'll certainly log into that one. But no, this one's been very interesting as well, and I think it all just brings everything together about the bodies and how everyone can look after themselves, and we don't need to be on meds, you know, constantly if we can keep ourselves in the. So it's
absolutely. But as you've mentioned anemia, what was your question on anemia?
My general one's on iron absorption. It's one of those things I see it quite a bit with a lot of people being anemic and not always being treated properly for anemia.
Yes.
And supplements not always being very kind to your guts. And it was just around, you know, building it up generally. I mean, I know all the foods that can help with that, but it's a very slow process.
Yes, anemia. You know, it is. You're absolutely right in terms of the body's ability to, you know, to build up the oxygen levels, hemoglobin, and healthy red blood cells. And anemia is a huge area that a lot of people are suffering with and are trying to contend with. And as you said, you're right. The level of medication that people are taking is having a very adverse effect on the stomach, and more importantly, the lining of the stomach and the body's ability to absorb those key nutrients, be able to feed into those blood cells and the mitochondria, etc. But we've got some very powerful products that we're now using or about to launch that really positively impacts anemia or people in an anemic state. Through the uptake of iron into the blood, and it really helps to build healthy red blood cells that will then be replicated around the body. So we're going to be launching that over the next few weeks. We're also going to be speaking a bit about it next week. We're going to cover anemia next week, just so you're aware. We'll be covering anemia next week because we thought, as we said, it's better to give it its own separate webinar. So next week we'll be covering anemia and other related blood disorders. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the solutions that we have to really help to build the blood and to, you know, take it out of that anemic state into that healthy, well-enriched, oxygen-rich blood cell state as well. So those are things next week during the anemia webinar. So make sure you tune in for that one.
I will do. Thank you.
But yes, it's a pleasure to have you on board. Great to see you. And
No worries. I'll call another. Yeah, just chat in general about stuff later.
Yes, most definitely. We've got some stuff to catch up on.
Cool.
Brilliant. Any other questions before we wrap up? Let me go through the chat real quick. Carol, your skin looks radiant. Yeah, loads of comments about Carol's skin. You got to cleanse your body. Oxyflush makes you love the toilet. It certainly does. It's very powerful. Sorry, got to leave. We'll catch the rest. We'll be sending. Yes, the video will be going out. We'll do the video. The video will be going out hopefully this evening once we've got it all compiled. Telegram group. Yeah, don't forget to join the Telegram group where we share all this information. And would it be possible for you to send a list of the natural seasonings, and could this be purchased at Planet Organic? Yes, very good question. The natural seasonings, we have a very good supplier of natural seasonings that we're going to be stocking very soon. So make sure you keep an eye on our website, vivonutrients.com. Vivonutrients.com. That's where you get all the latest updates on all the latest innovations, the latest products. Everything that we have will be posted on Vivo Nutrients. Try and make sure you tune in or log in this week for any of the stuff that we. The seasonings will be coming very soon. Again, they'll be available on Vivo Nutrients. The extension of the special offer for the scan at the reduced price for the Black History Month special offer or the Black Healthy Month special offer, that's going to be extended on the Vivo Nutrients website. So make sure you log into Vivo Nutrients to keep yourself abreast of all the deals and special offers. But very good question, McLean. We will be having the seasonings available very soon. Organic seasonings, natural organic seasonings that you can use to replace based seasonings that are full of chemicals and full of a lot of impurities that are very harmful to the body. So that said, I think we're going to be able to finish on time for the first time in a long time. So all that's left to do is to thank everybody for joining us today. We hope.
Sorry, Aaron, just a quick one.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
The CBD oil.
Yep.
Are you got them in stock? Are you going to be selling them, or any updates?
CBD, as I said, we have a different version of CBD. We have a different version of CBD that targets a different level of receptors that actually deal with the sympathetic nervous system, immune nervous system, but it also impacts a lot of the other immune receptors that the normal CBD doesn't. So when the cannabinoid receptors will impact certain receptors of your immune system, our CBD impacts all the other receptors in the immune system that aren't targeted by CBD, and it actually gives you a wider spectrum of effects and impacts, and in terms of immune stimulus from taking it. So we're going to be providing that or making that available on the website. We haven't actually named it yet, but it's a much wider spectrum CBD that targets a different part of the immune system that is more widely impacted in different conditions or different diseases that people face. So it's a good question. And again, if you log on to Viva Nutrients, keep coming back. We will send out an email once it's ready, but it will be available very soon via the new website.
Thank you. And thank you for the speakers. It's been a blessed session. Thank you. Heartfelt.
No problem at all. My pleasure. Oh, Marsha. Oh, wow, Marsha, you joined us. Very quick. Let's bring on Marsha. Thank you for joining, Marsha. Marsha, can you unmute real quick?
I've unmuted you.
Ah, what a pleasure. I didn't know you were coming today. Thank you. Marsha, quickly, just give us a quick, because you were one of the latest people, not latest, but actually last year, I think it was last year or early this year. Was it this year?
Ask me the questions and I'll answer.
Okay. Very quickly then, Marsha, last year you came to us. I know you had high blood pressure. I know you had some other issues that you were dealing with. But let's give us a quick summary of where you were with your high blood pressure and where you are now, or what happened after you finished your program. So I know you had some interest from your doctor.
All right. I was diagnosed with high blood pressure as well as diagnosed with diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
I was told I had to lose weight, so I had to lose at least about 2 stones.
Mm-hmm.
I was weight, more or less going into obesity. So they said if I didn't, I would be actually placed on medication, which I didn't want. But I was placed on medication for blood pressure. And then I heard about this juice doctor thing where you can go and get a body scan. And it was like an invite I had, but it was done via some, because I belong to quite a few chat room on the WhatsApp group.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, okay, that's interesting. Let me go along and attend and see what they have to offer. And I went and I did my body scan, and the body scan came back. It was quite detailed,
Mm-hmm.
and very, very detailed. And it told me everything that was going on in my body, which was right and which was wrong, and what I needed to do in order to correct that, and how I needed to flush my whole system to reset it and start all over again. I thought, okay. So I thought, that's interesting. The fact that I had sugar in my blood also, that was quite alarming. And I thought, wow. And I thought to myself, okay, what would I need to do? So I recommended the program, which I'd need to start. I thought about it first, and I thought, well, my health comes first. So even though I thought about the price and I thought about my health, I said, no, my health is more important than the price I need to pay for it. So I then purchased a product. It was the first stage course, Erin, that I had?
That one, yep.
Yeah, the OxyFlush, where it detoxed you and you flushed out all your system, and then you had to go on this. It wasn't like a diet, but it was a juice that you had to do and just eat 1 meal a day. Quite tough, but I managed the program, and I managed to actually have the 1 meal a day, and I managed to follow the program. And also throughout the program, I noticed I was sort of like everything, that OxyFlush just took everything out of me, and I thought, wow, what's going on? It just took everything out of me, and I thought, okay. Then I noted that I was losing weight, and I thought, okay. Then I also noted that I wasn't sort of like as slow as I used to be, sluggish.
Mm-hmm.
I was quite sort of like becoming active and agile and flexible. Then I also noticed a difference in my skin. My skin appeared to be a bit more glowy, and I thought, wow, this is like a transformation. Something's going on here. Maybe all the products that I'm using is really, and everyone kept saying, you look really different. What is it? Your skin is really glowing. Even my mother looked at me and she goes, oh, your skin is really, really glowing. It looks really shiny. And I thought, yeah, I said, so I told her I was doing this program. And she said, okay, well, it is. And everyone said, how long are you going to do it for? And throughout the program, I found friends that, and family tried to tempt me to eat, which I refused to do. And I thought, no, I'm not going to ruin this program. I'm going to stick with it. So I stuck with the program, and then after I did the second stage also of the program. And then after completing the second stage of the program, I decided to go to my doctor to just have a sort of like check, an updated check to see where I am with my blood pressure and the sugar. The blood pressure came down, and then I was attending one of the classes, the diabetes prevention classes. And the last final stage of the class, we had to do some tests where we had to check our blood sugar, we had to check our weight. So I had my sugar, my blood checked, and then they said, oh, it's back to normal. And then she said, oh, you've lost weight as well. So she said, oh, everything seems to be checked and back to normal. So she turned and she said, it doesn't mean that you go back and start eating what you was eating before. So I said, okay, that's fine. I knew in my mind, but I said to her, I did a detox program. That's what really helped me. She goes, okay. So she said, well, you've done very well from it. And then since then, I sort of like, I went on the third stage of the program also, and that really helped us. But I've kept my weight off, and my blood pressure is down, and I don't have sugar in my blood anymore like I used to. Told. So it's a very good program, and I would recommend it if you're faced with any sort of health issues, even if you've got arthritis and so forth. So it is a good program. So I recommend it to anyone to take if you've got health issues, you're concerned, and it does help you.
Thank you so much, Marsha. I really appreciate it. I didn't think you were coming on today. Fantastic. Thank you for joining and for sharing your journey.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you. Okay, so, right. So I think we've managed to fit everybody in. We've got all of the questions answered. Any other questions, feel free to fire them into our group, in the Telegram group, on Telegram, the Healing Room's Cutting Edge Technology group. And look out for the video. The video will be posted in the group as well, in the Telegram group. If not, if you're on our mailing list, we'll send it to you via email. But yeah, once again, thank you so much for giving up your Sunday. Lockdown, be very careful with your health. Make sure you take advantage. As I said, I'll remind you once again, make sure you've got the right at hand, just in case, because obviously when you start to stay at home, there's a lot of things you're going to do. I'm actually going to do a session on 10 things you can do to damage your health while working from home. There's a lot of things that we do, we don't realize that it's impacting us negatively. So I'm going to do a session on how we can work from home safely, to make sure we can control the weight so we don't put on too much weight. But if you do put on too much weight, don't forget you've always got King Oxyflush. King Oxyflush is always going to be there to really come to your rescue. But in fact, don't just do King Oxyflush, do Oxyflush, do it as a small combo. Do the mini combo, do the Oxyflush, the Elixir of Life, and the liquid option. So at least you've got 3 products going in. You can manage the HERM protocol, you've got the hydration, the elimination, the rest, and the nutrition. So that way, at least during that month or 2 months or however long they extend it for, you've got tools that you need to make sure you can keep your health in optimal levels. So check out the website, Vivo Nutrients. We'll be posting a lot of information. We'll try and post the videos and stuff on there. Next week, we'll be covering anemia. I'm hoping that we'll be able to cover the products and the solutions so that we can start really looking at drilling down on how we can actually address some of these issues. But because obviously it's demand, we provide the information that's relevant, people can actually utilize and share with friends and family. So that's it. All that's left to say is to thank everybody for joining. Thank you for giving up the time on a Sunday afternoon. We are every single Sunday. We're here to empower people, to give people knowledge, information, and tools that they need to bring their health into optimal levels. We hope you can take this information and share it with your family, apply it to yourself, share it with your loved ones, and anybody that you know that needs to have, a little bit more choice of the things they need to do to bring their health back into levels that they are used to. Alrighty, so with that said, thank you once again. Thank you so much. Thank you, Glory. Thank you all those that contributed. Thank you, Tasha. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Marsha. Thank you, Ermin. Thank you, Nico, for allowing us to come on. Thank you, Sebriano.
Give thanks.
Yes, Nico. Thank you. The people that contributed today, thank you so much. God bless you, and we'll see you all again next week. Thanks, Ermin. God bless you.
All right, and you.
Alrighty. Take care now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
No, she said she was going to, but she's full of shit. I don't want to get into her. She's full of shit. Full of shit.